Hey, hi guys, welcome to today's lesson. We have speaking today, and today we will focus on how to speak in detail about business and work for speaking part 2, the part that has about 1 or 2 minutes. And business and work is one of the most common topics that are in the speaking of IELTS. So if you prepare to make different kind of answers for this kind of questions, that will help in case we have the same question in the exam. And then the next one is express your wishes and intentions in a variety of ways. So we will also be able to express our wishes, dreams, and like what we want in different ways. And then expand your answer to a speaking part 2 task using subordinate clauses. So how to use subordinate clauses to expand our answers. I will later also tell you what subordinate clauses are if you don't know. And then the next one is use contraction when speaking to sound more natural. Also how to use the contractions. Okay, so the first one is the first exercise that we will work on is the fifth one. It says read this speaking part 2 task, then match the question words 1 to 6 with the correct A to F. Just a moment. Okay, so the question says describe a job that you would like to do for a day, and you should say what kind of job it is. For example, this kind of question comes in the exam, so these 3 parts are also given in the exam. So it says what kind of job it is, what the daily responsibilities of this job are, what characteristics you need for this job, and explain why you like to do this job. So again, these ones only help you to elaborate your answer and to talk more, and you don't always have to answer all these questions. But if you will, like if you don't have ideas, it will help you to find some ideas. Also, the tip says if you finished answering all the questions in the task, one useful technique is to think how you can expand your answer to each prompt by giving the examples and make comparisons. So one way is to for you to elaborate your answer when you have nothing to talk about is to give example. For example, if you talk about business, you say that I like, for example, I like this business, like this, you name a business, and then you just bring up an example, even if it's not a real example. For example, you can say that my uncle was doing this business, and then he ended up like having a great company and a lot of money and stuff, so I want to do that too. Or you can compare things so that your answer is longer. Okay, so these are some of the words, like the WH questions, and then you can choose which one counts with which one, and then all of these questions help you to be able to, like, these are questions that you can ask yourself while answering the part 2 to elaborate your answer. So for example, the first one is what is this job? No, this is not the one for this. What usually does this kind of job? Or what do you have to, or what, not that one. What do you have to, no, not that one. What special ability you might need to do this job? So for the first one, E is the answer. What special ability you may need to do this job? And for example, this is the question, right? You can ask any of these questions. Just make link one of these WH questions to one of sentences, and they all help you to be able to answer your questions. For example, the next one is when do you have to arrive at work? So you give all the examples, like when you have to arrive at work, like how much, what are the abilities that you have to do this job, and how to apply for this job, and all of these ones. And the exercise 7, it says, with a partner, use these sentences to start your long term. If you run out of ideas, ask your partner to take over. Talk for at least 2 minutes on each topic. So, for example, you start your part 2 of the exam with, I think I would be interested in becoming a nurse for a day. Being nurses very, like, you can continue. We will work on this later if we have time. You guys can continue doing this. But for now, just a moment. These are, so first, the contraction model verbs. For this one, it says, listen to the speaker saying these pairs of sentences. The first example is, and each pair is not contracted, while the second example is. So you can listen to this listening at home, but it helps you to sound much more natural if you use the contraction words. So the contraction is a short form of a word, a group of words. For example, won't is the contraction of will not. So when you speak, if you say, I would, for example, the first one says, I would love to work as a computer programmer. Instead, you should say, I'd love to work as a computer programmer. Or the second one says, I would not like to be a pilot, as I don't like heights. You can say, I wouldn't. So just try to use the contraction words, or instead of I will, you can say I'll. I will not, I won't. I should have done. Instead of I should have, you should use I should have. Or if I had studied, or if you can use if I had studied harder. Also, the next one is using the subordinate clauses to make your sentences longer and to make them more, like, sound more complicated, and that you can make different types of sentences. You can use subordinate clause for subordinate clauses in grammar, a clause that cannot form a separate sentence but adds information to the main clause. So it can't make a sentence by itself, the subordinate clause, but when it's added to a sentence, it gives more information about that. For example, it says, I would like to work in a company, in a factory, which makes chocolate. So the second part is, which makes chocolate. So it doesn't make sense when we say it alone, which makes chocolate, but for example, if you don't use it as a subordinate clause, you can say, I would like to work in a factory. And then the next sentence, you can say, I like the factories that makes chocolate. But if you add them together, it really helps. Or for example, if there's a question that says, how do you go to work every day? You can say, I go to work with bus, which is really comfortable. Like, you can always say, I'm going to work with bus, and buses are more comfortable. But if you just add which and use it as a subordinate clause, it really makes it longer and can increase your marks. And then the tip is the successful use of subordinate clause will increase your grammatical range as well as your overall fluency and coherence. So it does increase your fluency. It shows that you're more fluent in English, and then it also shows that you can use more different types of grammatical range. Okay, and also there is the example, the definition of modal verbs. Modal verb is a verb, for example, can, might, or must, that is used before another verb to show that something is possible or necessary. And these ones help with the making these contraction words. For example, would is a modal verb, and then you can change it to I'd. There are some more examples. For example, I've often thought about going into business by myself. It might be risky, but, and then the next one is I once worked as a receptionist in a hotel, which was an interesting experience. So these are the examples of using the subordinate clause. Okay, and for exam, this is the exam skill and your homework. So ask and answer these speaking part 1 question with a partner. Do you guys want to start answering this? I can also listen. So just go ahead, one of you start and ask the first question, and the next one answer it, please. It's the first part of the speaking, which doesn't need to be 1 or 2 minutes. You can only answer it in 3, 4, or 5 sentences. Muhammad, do you want to ask the first question and Zainab will answer?
Yes, madam. So, can I start? Shall I start?
Sure, please.
Yeah, okay. Question number 1. Have you ever had a part-time job?
Yes, I had a part-time job when I was at 12th class of school. I was teaching in a private school in Helmand, and in the morning I was studying, and in the afternoon time I was teaching. And I was teaching their science subjects and also English.
Oh, good.
Great.
Good.
Zainab, you can ask the second.
Okay. What kind of job would you like in the future?
I would like to be a technician because it would be very convenient and very useful.
Okay. Thank you, Muhammad. You can answer like more. More.
Can I continue?
Sentences?
Next?
Yeah, please. No. I was just saying that for the second one that you answered, you will have to add more sentences.
Okay. I have to expand the answer. So yeah. So what? As I said, I love to become, or I love to be a technician because it's one of my favorite, and I dream to be a technician guy when I was a child. So as a child, I'm really interested in this job and to becoming a good technicians and can assist some people around myself and for my nations where I'm living in. So
great, thank you.
It's really useful.
You elaborated really well. So you brought an example, and you talked about your past, that you were interested in this. That's really a good thing to add when you don't have any ideas. Okay, you can ask the next question, Muhammad.
All right. Question number 3. What kind of job is popular with young people in your country?
There are lots of popular jobs in my country for young people, but getting every job is difficult because there are many restrictions, and actually there are various jobs, but the number of jobs are less. Like teaching, business, many kinds of business that every of them needs huge money or and also there are many kinds of job in offices, I mean official work, and yeah, like this, teaching in many different area, universities, centers, private universities, schools, and also like this.
Thank you. Yeah, go ahead to next question, Zainab.
Is there a job that you would not like to do?
Yeah, sure. Actually, I don't like fishing. Um, that's not what I don't. That's not what I'm not into it. But most probably, most of my friends, I can say many of my friends, dislike that job because it's a very risky job, and also yeah, uh, it needs to get up so early in the morning and to go for that job, and that's the only jobs that personally I don't like, and also I don't like to get up early in the morning and to go for this job. So no time for that. That's it. Isn't it enough?
Yeah, that's great. Thank you. Okay, and the next question is describe a successful business in your country, and you should say what kind of business it is, what kind of people work there, and why this business is successful, and explain whether you would like to work for this business or not. So both of you try to answer this. I will give you 1 minute and then try to use the contracting model verbs. Like you do use it sometimes, but try to use it more, and also the subordinate clauses, for example, which, that, and stuff to answer this. So let's see how much time we have. Okay, you have 1 minute. Please prepare. Okay, your time is up. Who wants to start?
Maybe let's start with Miss Saina, I guess.
Okay, I will do.
Quite ready. Okay.
Yes, Zaina, please go ahead.
Okay, go ahead.
I think that the job which is the business which is successful in my country, it may be teaching, because this lockdown situation showed that other jobs all stop, even shopping, all them stop. Just the people who are now also going on the business of, sorry, just teachers are teaching, even they are teaching online. That system is available for them, and all of them can get the salary that they had before that salary, and they are working from home, and they are jobs, all them cancelled. Just this grocery shops remain, that also, that's also restricted. They are not very convenient with that also because of this situation. But those who are teaching, those who are teachers, they are doing line, especially university teachers. it may be private university or governmental university. They all are going, and they can get benefits as much as the usual days, and their taxes and their work, but but even they do more than other times also, because before that they should go to many they spend lots of time in commuting, and they spend lots of time to get ready to go to different universities like this. But now they are they are doing these things for one university, and they can download that for many other universities also. For example, one lecturer is teaching in Kabul University, and maybe he had 2 or 3 subjects. They have in private universities also. When they record for one university, for example, for Kabul University, they can upload that for other universities also. And just the matter is the net problem, net connection, that I think that's working during the night after 12 o'clock at night. We have the net speed is very high, and
Zainab, thank you. Yeah, thank you. We don't have more time, so I will have to stop you here.